Welcome to Roundhill Radio. Through our conversations, we discover the holy and the ordinary, look for moments of grace and peace, and redefine what we're talking about when we talk about faith. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Roundhill Radio.
It's good to be here. My hair's grown since I've been here last. So those of you who are just listening, you can imagine it's only down to shoulder length.
It's only down. It's hilarious. You're so funny. So we wanted to get you on here to talk about the trip you just led.
We went on the Camino de Santiago.
The Camino de Santiago. I have to tell on myself, which is you walked up to me, I think last year, and said, "We're going to the Camino." And I was literally like, "Oh, that sounds like a nice vacation with Virgil," having zero clue what you were talking about. So my first question to you is, how and when did you first hear about the Camino? Because it was new to me until you told me about it.
You know, it has gained in popularity over the last few years. In fact, 450,000 people walked it in 2023.
Wow.
And there are 10 different routes. So the Camino means the way.
Yeah.
And it's been around since around the 1100s. And all of the routes end up in Santiago de Compostela,
Okay.
which is where St. James is supposedly buried. There's
it.
a tomb for him there. In fact, people go and hug St. James
Oh.
and there. So there are lots of rituals around this.
Okay.
But the idea is that people made this ancient pilgrimage, and they still make this ancient pilgrimage, which is supposedly one of the 3 largest and most famous Christian pilgrimages, along with Jerusalem and Rome.
Got it.
And people walk it for all different reasons. People have walked it in the early days. I talked about this in church on Sunday, where people would walk it so that they would get a dispensation from the church.
Right.
Or they would hire someone to go and walk it for them so that they could get a dispensation from the church.
Right. Because we're talking about this was Spanish Catholic Church.
Catholic,
yeah.
Yes. So some people do it for spiritual reasons. Other people do it to take a break from their lives, to kind of stop and be out in nature and to think. Other people do it for health reasons. You know, you'll find any of a number of people. And it was so interesting because some people along the way said, you know, people that I've talked to who are from all over the world, none of them are Catholics. And I said, wow, that's interesting. So it's gained popularity among people from all different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So we walked, and I actually have been following along this idea for probably a good 5 to 10 years because colleagues of mine who have posted on Facebook have taken sabbaticals to do it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So the oldest one, which is the Camino Frances, which starts over in France and goes over the Pyrenees and is 500 miles.
Wow, I was going to say.
Yeah. And they do that in anywhere from 30 to 35 days sometimes.
Wow.
Which is a lot
that
of walking.
seems fast.
Yeah. People are booking it.
They're booking
and
it
oftentimes
all day.
staying in hostels called auberges.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a little more rudimentary than what we wanted to do. In order to get the certificate at the end, you have to walk at least 100 miles of it.
Okay.
So we walked 105.
I love the extra 5.
Well, that's because we started in Lyon, which you have to because the cathedral there is so amazing.
Sure.
And we walked to what is called the Iron Cross. And the Iron Cross is where people come. And if you've ever seen, I really commend to you The Way, which is a movie with Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez. And it's the story, based on a true story, of the walk of the Camino. And the Iron Cross is a place where, and I forgot the name of the town, excuse me, but people go and leave stones there. And they leave the stones there as a symbol of laying the burden down so that you can continue on in the Camino in a lighter manner.
Oh, no, yeah.
So it's the whole thing. I mean, I love this quote from Thomas Merton, which is, "The geographic pilgrimage is the symbolic acting out of an inner journey. The inner journey is the interpolation of the meanings and signs of the outer pilgrimage. One can have one without the other, but it's best to have both." So it's an inner and outer journey.
Yeah. I was really struck by the visual of the Iron Cross. So If you guys want to see some footage from it, I recommend you check out the worship service we published on the Roundhill Community Church YouTube channel from this past Sunday. And I think you started the service there. It's been a hot minute since I edited it.
Yeah.
But you show and
I
how
used the children's
many
message.
Yeah, that's right. And you see all the stones and just pile. It's a big just piling up of people's burdens in life, and the stones in there. I thought it was really so striking.
And all of that footage from that service and all of the pieces of that worship service for online was videotaped from the Camino. So definitely, except for the two amazing music pieces that were brought in. But so go and see that. That's from the November 12th worship service.
Yeah, definitely check that out. It was, I remember when you were telling me you were going to do that, I got chills. I was like, that's going to be amazing. And I just it was so much fun to edit. It felt like a real honor to do it. I was like, they trust me with this precious footage. I want to make it nice.
Well, it was so funny because I'd be walking along in the rain.
So much rain.
And I'd be like, okay, I got to get this B-roll for Leslie. So I'd be like walking along.
Yeah, bouncing.
Well, I wanted to give the image of walking.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would be singing the song that Scott sang on the online version.
Oh, really?
Of I want Jesus to walk with me.
Nice.
And I'd sing that along like, okay, so what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I want Jesus to walk with me.
I think it's so beautiful how many people were commenting on like the different different pieces of music they were singing in their head or out loud on the Camino. That always really touched me.
Well, when I am out in nature, it opens up my heart, right? And there were so many gorgeous vistas, whether it just be across farmland, whether it be in the muck of like heavy rain in a forest, walking along, and you can't help but sing.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. When we talk about hymnody and sacred music, to me it's really about giving people language and the music and finding, giving them a library to pull from when they're in moments like that and they need a song, that they have something available that fits it.
And we know too, music oftentimes touches people in a deeper place than the spoken word.
For sure.
So yeah.
And it also helps them remember.
Well, that's true too. That's true. But it came literally every day, that hymn.
Yeah.
So knowing that was going to be used, I just thought, okay, so what does that mean?
Yeah. It's a little behind the scenes, but when I was going back to find that footage of Scott singing it, I have about 6 clips of it because he kept getting tripped up with something. I don't know. And it's not like a complicated language, but it was one of those ones. Sometimes recording is easy and sometimes it just takes a hot minute. And that was one of the ones that takes so I'm just laughing, looking at like 6 clips of Scott going, nope, doing it again. Nope, doing it again.
And that is just perfect metaphor for the Camino.
It was,
right?
Yeah.
Because you're walking along and trudging and you've got to watch your steps. So tripping up on something literally and metaphorically.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so you went to 105 miles.
105 miles. It rained every day but 2.
Oh my gosh.
And we're not talking like light rain. We're talking where we had to wear ponchos over our backpacks so that they were day packs. So we
strong look.
Our other luggage was carried on to the next place where we were staying, which was very important.
Yeah.
And we would, taking care of your feet in that is really important because I got blisters on one foot only, but, so I've learned about Compeed. I've learned about putting wool. I've learned about double socks.
Double socks. We love a double sock.
And wool socks and waterproof shoes.
Sock liners. The whole thing.
And gaiters over that so that the water doesn't see. I mean.
Oh, geez.
We're talking. And rain pants.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning, before I dropped a few pounds.
Because you went every day for 20 miles?
The pants that I took were bright yellow.
Yeah. They're cool. I like those.
And then I fit into the black ones later on. But people would say, I'm so glad you're wearing those, even though I looked like an Easter egg.
No, you look great.
Because people could see me from far away. And so they knew there she is
There's
up there,
Shannon.
or there she is back there, or wherever I was.
I love that. You pretend you did it on purpose.
Exactly. But the quote that people kind of rolled their eyes at me all about, but it's one that I reflected on too, is however you are in this is how you are in life. So what can you learn about yourself?
Yeah.
And that's, who wants to be reflective, right? But this is all about reflection.
I mean, it's the point.
Yeah.
It seems,
So the first thing I learned was I carry too much. So the backpack that I took, I've been carrying for 40 years on international trips. In fact, when I put it up on Facebook, a picture of the backpack, it's an internal frame Kelty backpack. I literally had someone from 1983 say, "Is that the backpack you took to Japan?" And the pastor in Brazil that I visited in 1987, "Was that the backpack you came down here to Brazil with?" I went, "Oh my God."
Well, I mean, good for you. No fast fashion for Shannon.
So
well done.
But while I was carrying that probably like 50-pound pack around with me through the train stations and all this stuff, everybody else was rolling their little suitcases along. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I carry way too much baggage, literally and figuratively.
Ooh.
So it's like, what can I let go?
Love it.
I literally had to stop and rest because it was so heavy.
Wow.
So that was the first thing I learned. I was like, okay, no, I need to let go of some stuff. Another thing too is that I go into caregiving mode when I'm in stress. So, I was leading this trip, even though thank goodness for our guides, Roberto and Hector, who were amazing with fresco tours. We took the kinder Camino, which means we walked between 7 and 11 miles a day. And didn't move hotels every night. Fresco tours is extraordinary. Fantastic. And we kept hearing that along the way.
Yeah.
And thanks to Lee Grant for letting us know about that. But I forget what I was.
You go into caregiving mode.
Oh, yeah, I go into caregiving. So it was like letting people, stepping back, which didn't take a lot for me to do, actually, because I just wanted to walk and be focused on one thing. But stepping back and letting people have their own experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
So not making it easier for people or whatever, or doing something that they needed to figure out for themselves.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing too.
I could see that being difficult because you wanting to like curate an experience for people, but it's like that can get in the way of their experience. That I can see that being really difficult to
and one of our members talked about in the online and in the in-person service about being stuck on a few rocks that were put out in the middle of this very deep water.
Yeah. And
literally how she stopped and couldn't, she was frozen.
Yeah.
She could not move forward.
Yeah.
And there were two different points. And at one point, I just said, okay, put your poles down. And then we just stood and waited.
Yeah.
And it was her, you could literally see her kind of stepping over the fear in her life to go to the next step. But if I had done anything more, if I tried to make that easier, I wouldn't have had that effect, right? So step back, let people experience what they need to experience, but still walk along with people. So, I mean, I also knew that I needed to have this be my own Camino and not, because in preparation, I mean, I've always been a hill runner, so I run hills. And so going up the hills was not hard for me.
Right.
There were a lot of hills. Yeah. It was hard. It was a difficult terrain. Not rocky in the sense, but just long, sustained uphills.
Was it mostly on paths, it seemed like?
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot like road
No,
walking.
it was not on roads. No.
Nice.
A couple of times, through little villages, very quaint villages. I mean, like from sometimes the 7th century. I mean, beautiful little places that you learned about the culture and that kind of thing. So that was always fun. But, just the other thing too was encountering people from all over the world who would say Buen Camino, which is good Camino or your good way, going to good way. And the generosity of people who have hosted 450,000 people through their towns who would just say Buen Camino, farmers or whatever who would be out. And, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot.
If you've ever lived in a tourist town, you're like, oh,
Right. Exactly. And yet it also helps them thrive.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Keep their time going. I was going to ask, was it crowded?
So we were the last tour group that this tour company took.
Oh, for the season.
Yeah.
Because of the rain?
Because of the rain. In fact, one of the guides said in all of the years that he's done the Camino, this was the third most rainy.
Wow.
So that we were like, oh, thank you.
You're giddy for us.
Supposedly they start back up in April.
Okay.
The best times, according to people, and who knows if with climate change, if that's going to shift.
Sure.
Because walking in 105 degrees is not optimal either in the summer.
No bueno.
May, yeah, right, no bueno. So April, May, and then September supposedly are the high ones. But then you're really walking with people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then
right?
it's like
you're walking with a lot of people.
crowds.
And if you're staying in those auberges, you have to get up and start walking by 6 so that you can get ahead to get your reservation for that night at 2 o'clock.
Holy moly.
And before siesta starts.
Yeah. Important.
That was another thing.
Oh, yeah.
Eating lunch late and then having 8 o'clock dinners, which I'm not accustomed to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did it help with the time change, though? Because that would have been...
Yeah, but you get used to it.
We
were there for 2 weeks.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm an old person. I eat dinner like at 4:30 or 5.
You and Mare Bear. It's fine.
Well, it works for digestion for me.
There you go. I respect that.
I know. Intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say.
I mean, I gotta tell you, the time change, the daylight savings.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
The sun sets, and I'm like, it's 9 o'clock now, right?
Yes.
I look at the baby. I'm like, why are you still awake? It's so late. Oh, no, it's 4:30.
It's hard to wake up to darkness and go to bed in dark. You know, even just eat in darkness.
Yeah, it is. No, so yeah, I get that. So it's so fascinating experience, and we were hearing some reflections from our community members. Now that you've been back for a week and a half or so?
About a week and a couple of days. Yep.
So has anything changed for you in terms of your experience of just life, or something that you've kept with you?
Yes. So that's a good question. They say you're not done with your Camino until you get home. And, we had travel issues on the front and the back end.
Yeah.
I would say one of the things that I am keeping with me is, in addition to needing and craving to be outdoors, is stopping and letting myself feel whatever I need to feel. Because I don't know about you, but I can get so caught up in the pace of life that and this is what I did on the Camino, I just trudge through, whether it's get up that hill, and then I don't pay attention to my body. I don't pay attention to all of the dynamics going on. And I miss out on the present moment. So even though I'm big into stopping and meditating and that kind of thing, I learned that on a deeper level, that there's something to stopping and focusing on one thing, having no agenda other than getting to where I need to get to, and not having clutter in my brain, and just like considering what else is there. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It was such a gift to be able to have that for a sustained period of time. Yeah. Because it took us 9 days of walking. Yeah. And, some intermittent talking with people. I would stop, and be with people and walk with people, but I let people have their own thing. We laughed before with the ribbons. So we had been told by other groups that sometimes they were annoyed that people were talking to them. So I gave everybody ribbons and said, if you don't want to talk to somebody, just put the ribbon on the back of your backpack. Right. And that's a signal. That didn't end up being an issue because people would walk ahead if they wanted to be out.
Got it. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I was just wondering if there's because I was easily picturing just like somebody just keeping the ribbon on the entire time.
I think if those people hadn't walked ahead, they might have.
They would have deserved it. Well, it was there if they needed it.
Yeah, well, like my husband is a therapist and he listens to people 12 hours a day. So he needed time to not be talking. And
so he was walking on ahead?
Yes, he was the first one out of the gate. Boom.
Good for you. Good for him.
Yes, good
I
for
like
him.
that.
I'm glad he had that experience.
Yeah. So there was a trip, 4 or 5 years ago now, that was to the Holy Land. There was this Camino trip. Do you think there'll be another trip in the future? Or
I'm sure there will be.
similar pilgrimage or something?
I'm sure there will be. I mean, there have already been people that have said that they want to do the Camino, whether it's with a group from Round Hill or just on their own. Their interest was piqued enough
Inspired.
that they want to go do that.
That's nice.
Hey, who knows? I mean, some people were suggesting things. We'll wait till that surfaces and see. But I love to travel, and I love to be with people as they experience new things. So we'll see what happens. I mean, when I was here before, we went to Nicaragua a couple of times for a work camp. We went down to after Katrina and did some rehabbing of houses down both in Mississippi and later on into New Orleans. So who knows?
I love it. That's so cool. That's so cool. I love that your title is Pastor of Spiritual Development. I love the creativity you bring to that and all the different things you bring. I think that's super.
It's multifaceted,
It's
right?
super cool.
I love the title as well because it really allows me to explore whatever my gifts are to kind of share with other people.
I love it because it's so far from my wheelhouse. I just sit there. I'm like, she's so cool and creative, doing all these fun things that I would have just not.
Well, and I said the same thing about you. So there. So I could never do what you. I mean,
good colleagues.
both the music and the digital stuff. Holy camole!
Oh, you do great.
I want to end us with a parting blessing that we had. So we ended up in Santiago on All Saints Day, and we were hooked up with an Anglican. Well, she's an Episcopal priest from the States, but she's Anglican there, who actually has a ministry with pilgrims.
So cool.
So I love it. St. Susanna's Church. Her name was Reverend Anna. And she used this in her service with us that I'll read. God, guide your feet and minds today. May you travel safely and find companions on the way. God be in your hands and hearts today when you wave goodbye and prepare to welcome others. God be in your lives as you travel on and at your homecoming. God be with you always, constant companion, guardian, friend, and guide. May God's blessing be ours on our pilgrim way all the nights and the days of our journeys home. Amen. Buen Camino.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for listening. Round Hill Radio is brought to you by the friends and members of Round Hill Community Church. For more information, please visit roundhillradio.org.